Hey guys, what's up? MarkJack79 here. We are back again today to talk about the Uncharted movie. We saw it this weekend. I have some thoughts about it. Some good, some bad. Just one of those movies where it wasn't really great. And it wasn't really bad either. It was kind of everything I could have wanted, specifically out of an Uncharted movie. There was a lot of treasure hunting. You know, if you played any of the Uncharted games before, you know, it is a very high action adventure title style game. There's a lot of shooting, some exploration. It's kind of linear more than anything else, but you go from point A to point B, solve some puzzles, find some treasures, and shoot a ton of people. Kind of the same thing here, except take out a lot of the shooting aspect. That was probably one of my major approvals of the movie, is that it focused heavily on treasure hunting more so than the fighting aspect of the games. Tom Holland portrays the spectacular hero Nathan Drake, who is portrayed by Nolan North in the games. So the big question was definitely, would Tom Holland be able to capture the charm of Nathan Drake? To be completely honest, I think he did an okay job. Definitely not perfect, especially after playing 5 Uncharted titles throughout the course of the game's existence. I think he did a fine job. I feel like he did his homework to try to capture the mannerisms and voice dialogue of Nathan Drake. I thought he was fine. Now, don't get me wrong. Personally, I always think it's room for improvement. More specifically, I still think Tom is a little bit too young to portray Nathan Drake. Even as a younger Nathan Drake, he still just has that boyish charm. Kind of looks like he's 16, 17, where Nathan kind of looks like he's in his late 20s, even in the first game. But it definitely didn't hurt the fact that I'm still spiraling out of excitement for Tom Holland after his portrayal of Peter Parker from Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, after the opening movie's credits, we are quickly introduced to Mark Wahlberg's Sully, who attempts to get Nate to accompany him on capturing some pirates' gold. Surprise, surprise, it is an Uncharted game. Kind of makes sense, right? Now, there was some huge controversy on the acting choice to have Mark Wahlberg provide the talents for Sully. I'm still kind of backwards on it. I mean, I feel like he captured the spirit of Sully, but honestly, it would not have been my first choice. He just didn't seem old enough, even though these are, of course, supposed to be younger versions of these characters. I still feel like the age gap between Sully and Nate was a little bit larger compared to what we're seeing here. I mean, we did get kind of a cameo scene with him growing the mustache by the end of the film, but if I had to say one character that was not a very good representation of the video game counterpart, it would definitely be Wahlberg. Now, in saying all of that, I do still enjoy Mark Wahlberg as an actor. It hasn't really been a movie I've seen of his where I'm like, oh, God, this is terrible. So if you like Mark Wahlberg as an actor, you're probably still going to enjoy his version of Sully, because I feel like he basically just inputs his own personality into the role, and that's what you get. But if you're looking for a spitting image of Sully from the video game, then you're most definitely going to be disappointed. Now, they tried to pass off Antonio Banderas as the antagonist of the film, but I've never really believed Antonio Banderas to be a really good bad guy. I don't know, just something about he's got too much of a pretty boy face, and just the accent usually throws me off. I kind of had an inkling of a clue that he was going to get betrayed by the other antagonist of the movie, and that's exactly what happens by the climax. I mean, I enjoyed his performance, but just kind of forgettable, if I'm being completely honest. Which, of course, takes us to Bardock, the main antagonist of the movie, who betrays Antonio Banderas' character. And again, it kind of falls into that same trope of a movie is as good as how good the villain is. Just forgettable. I mean, she's got a pretty face. Acting was fine. Just didn't really leave an impression on me that would make me remember her. You know what I'm saying? Kind of the same issue that befalls the Uncharted games, too. Like, real quick, what was the name of the villain from Uncharted 2? Tell me real quick without Googling. Right. You know what I'm saying? Typical guy, she killed Nate's brother, and they try to make it personal, but it doesn't really work out too well. And she has that typical, she's really good at kung fu. She has this knife she's trying to get the go-to. I feel like she's just there to have somebody to compete against Nate and Sully. It just didn't really work out too well for me. I just wasn't really feeling her. It's just meh. Now, let's talk about most definitely my favorite from the film, which is Chloe Frazer. I feel like Chloe represented the best of video game to film adaptation, at least in a personality and the looks department scope of what they were trying to do with the character. Chloe has always been kind of that double agent style. She's never really been super trustworthy, at least not within the earlier titles. It wasn't until about Uncharted 3 to Lost Legacy when she really became that trustworthy character to the Drake brothers. I feel like the actress did a really good job portraying and bringing this character to life. Some of my favorite scenes from the movie where her and Nathan were figuring out puzzles and solving, cryptic clues to progress to find the treasure was most definitely some of my favorite aspects of the film. That's Uncharted. That was definitely the spirit of the video game here when they're just trying to figure out stuff, figure out puzzles and clues. This is Uncharted. Not all of the gun-toting, the firing and the shooting, the figuring out the pirates' clues and finding the treasure. That's what made me personally fall in love with the game, and they really did a brilliant job here of showing that on screen. Really had a really cool Indiana Jones, the best aspects of Tomb Raider vibe going on with those scenes between Nathan and Chloe. Definitely some sexual tension there as well, but they were most likely trying to save that for the sequel if we actually get one. And of course, we know our boy Nathan will only ever has eyes for one woman, and we know who that is. She just hasn't been introduced in this film series yet. Also, one of my favorite moments of the entire film, we get a cool little cameo scene from Nolan North, the original voice of Nathan Drake. Right in the climax of the action, they end up stranded on a beach, and Nolan North is there, presumably with his family, having a vacation, and he mentions to Nathan, Tim Holland's Nathan, that, I flew from a plane once and landed in a similar fashion. Hilarious scene, one of my favorite aspects of the movie, 100%. I hope in future Uncharted that we get cameos more so than just Nolan North. Hopefully we'll maybe see Lena, Sully, and Chloe, so on and so forth. That would be awesome. Also, I didn't want to go through this entire review without mentioning Nathan's brother, Samuel, at least once. The actor that portrayed the younger version of him did an outstanding job. It's basically the spitting image of the younger Sam Drake. It would actually kind of mirrored the Uncharted 4 origin storyline between the two brothers of how they came from the orphanage and how Sam had to escape and how Nathan got his start of being a treasure hunter. It's a really cool scene. Now, like I mentioned before, the climax of the movie ends up being Nathan versus Braddock for the gold of the pirates on the two pirate ships. Really cool scene, the atmosphere, the music. All of it reminded me of some of the best, most cinematic moments of Uncharted. They really did a good job between the collapse of the plane, of them all falling from the plane, to finding the gold on the two pirate ships in the cave. Cinematology that they created to make the pirate ships really turned out amazing. It really gave me a cool Pirates of the Caribbean set piece kind of feeling. They really did a good job of, showing how old the pirate ships were. They really did look like these were 1,000-year-old ships that had gold buried underneath them. Another thing about Tom Holland's Nathan Drake that I really want to talk about, I do like that they showed that he actually trains with pull-ups and climbing, that he's just not some regular dude that can just scale mountains and the side of buildings without having any prior training. They showed that, night to night that he does work out and does like fingertip push-ups, pull-ups, to train his body to be able to do that. Like I said, he's just not doesn't have video game strength just out of nowhere. He can just do that. You know, you actually have to work out and train to even be able to scale mountains like that. So I was happy that they did that for sure. Now, like stated before, throughout the entirety of the movie, Sully did not have his mustache or his classic Hawaiian shirt at all. They saved that for a cameo after credit scene. Kind of still a little just a video game nitpicky, kind of mad that they didn't include it in the actual movie, but at least they were able to give Mark Wahlberg the time to grow the mustache so we could at least see what he would look like with the mustache, just in case we were to get a sequel for the movie. Speaking of which, do I think this movie deserves a sequel? Sure, man. If they produced a sequel to one of my favorite video game franchises, movies of all time, I would definitely forego my money and I would go see it again. You know, I just love this video game franchise that much, so it's easy for me to go and support it. I don't know if it was good enough for just your average moviegoer to go and see the movie and to support the sequels. You know, that's for you to decide, but I'm coming at this like a Uncharted gamer who is just a fan of the video game franchise. If you clicked on this video, hopefully you're going at it from a similar perspective as well. But even if you haven't played the games, I think the movie is still an enjoyable experience. You know, you might be lost with some of the characters, but overall, I still think it was a good movie. It's not an amazing movie. It's a good popcorn flick that makes you think, and it's just overall entertaining. Now, if I'm comparing this to the grand scheme of all video game movies, Sonic the Hedgehog will still be my all-time favorite video game movie. I did enjoy Assassin's Creed, so I would put this one kind of a tie with Assassin's Creed. I know a lot of you guys are not a fan of that one, but I low-key enjoyed Assassin's Creed. Just did. Just saying. I did enjoy this way more than Mortal Kombat, and I enjoyed it way more than Tomb Raider. And Ratchet & Clank, which was literally just a cutscenes from the video game that they made into a movie, but for some reason nobody ever talks about that, but okay. So I put it in about the middle of the pantheon of video game movies, man. This one is on the better side, in my own gamer's heart, humble opinion. So I think that's going to do it here, man. I've been talking for about 10 minutes. Now, if I haven't convinced you as a gamer that you need to go see this movie, then I have failed at my job as a YouTuber. Now, hopefully that is not the case, and you will go give this movie some support. So if you like the video, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the notification bell icon. We virtually review every blockbuster movie that hits theaters, from Marvel to DC to comic book in general, animated, Disney, video games. We cover it all here at MarkJack79. So you can follow me at youtube.com/MarkJack79. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And as always, my friends, thank you for the support. Love you guys, and I will see y'all on the next one. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.